Hi, guys. I have several women friends at my church who have asked me to show them how I make my prayer journal or my prayer notebook that I use when I pray. And I thought this would be a wonderful time and opportunity for me to make this video to show how I make it in case other people might be interested in doing this as well. There are so many things that I would love to pray about that I feel like I should pray about and that I really want to pray about. But sometimes my brain just gets overwhelmed because there are so many thoughts that go through my mind that I would like to pray for. And I have come up with this way to help me organize my thoughts and all of the things I want to pray about. I have put it all together in a binder and I use it when I pray, and it has meant so much to me. It has been such a blessing for me in my prayer life, and I've been doing it this way for probably a couple of years now, and I wanted to make this video to share it with others. And thanks for watching. This is what this is. So the supplies you will need to make a prayer journal or a prayer notebook is the supplies are that you will need is a binder. You could use a big, you could use a paper folder that has brads. I used to use that. But I have since changed to a binder just because it's more sturdy. And I like this size. I think it's maybe I don't know if it's a half inch or a 1 inch. But it's the thinnest one I believe that they make. And I use this as my prayer binder. And so that's what you will need to put everything in. Any type of binder will do. You're also going to need, if you choose to do it my way, this is how I like to make my prayer journal. You will need some folders, just some regular folders with pockets. You don't need brads in these, and they would just get in your way. So you only need the kind that have the pockets, and they need to have holes on the side. So if they don't have holes, if you have the paper folders, then you can just easily use a hole punch and hole punch the holes in there. But as you can see, they do make them with the holes already in there, if you prefer to get these. So you'll need a few of these. I have 4 in my journal that I use. So you'll need a few pocket folders. And then you're going to need, if you do it like how I do, you'll need some sheet protectors, just a few. I have 5 in my book. So you'll need some of these sheet protectors. But they're optional, like I said. And then if you choose, you can also use a black Sharpie. It doesn't have to be black. I just said that because that's the color that I have. You can use any kind of Sharpie or good marker that you have. And then you also might need a dry erase marker. And I use the kind that have the felt eraser on the end, or you can get one separately, or just use tissue to wipe your marks off if you want to do it that way. So those are the things that you'll need to make your prayer binder like mine. And how you will start is first you will take your folders. Actually, I'm going to back up. You're going to need to think about or write down the prayer topics or categories that you would like to pray about. So I wrote mine down. You don't have to write yours down. At least think about what you want to be praying about. So as you can see, here are some things on my list: marriage, husband, kids, myself, etc., etc. These are things that I like to pray about often. And so these are the categories that I use in my binder. So after you have your topics, your categories in mind, you're going to get your pocket folders and you're going to label each pocket with one of the categories that you wrote down. So I will show you exactly what mine looks like. So this is my binder, and I chose to put a pretty 2020 calendar on the front cover of mine. I'm going to have to leave the website in the notes so you can see where I got this from. I don't want to neglect to do that. So I just thought this was really pretty, and I like to have a calendar on the front of mine. So when you open it up, I'm going to skip this part right now. You're going to see these are my pocket folders that I have labeled. I've labeled each pocket with one of my categories that I want to pray about. And then I've also labeled the front of the folders as well, just so I can quickly and easily see where my categories are. And so that's the next step that you'll do, is you'll label your pocket folders, okay, with each of your categories. Once you do that, then you are going to insert your sheet protectors. And I have 5. Your number might be different. And don't look at my papers right now. That's not important. First, I just want to show you that when you have your sheet protectors, if you choose to, you can label each page of your sheet protectors. You can label each page with one of your categories that you want to pray for. Of course, this is optional. I love to be organized, and I'm very particular about things. And so this is how I choose to do mine. I've labeled each sheet protector with a category, okay? If you choose to label all your sheet protectors like I did, then the next step will be collecting your papers, your handouts, your printables that you will put in your pockets of your folders that are going to help you pray with your prayer time. And so, for instance, my first folder here is about praying for myself and then praising God with my prayers. And so I have found and collected and printed off handouts for this category, for praying for myself. These are all papers that have ways that you can pray for yourself. And this one is from gracefilledplate.com. I don't remember if this was given to me or if it's one I printed off. But for this next step, you are going to be printing out things or collecting things that are going to help you pray in each of these categories. And so I'm going to skip over to here. For instance, praying for my marriage. There are lots of things that you can find on the internet about praying for your marriage and your husband. And you just collect these sheets and you put them in each of your pockets. And a way that I have found a lot of these, a way that I collected them was by just looking up. I would type in phrases like ways to pray for your spouse or ways to pray for your children, or um, ways to pray for your marriage, or, you know, 30 days of praising God, or 30 days of praying for your children. And you can find lots of printables, things you can print off from doing that. And Pinterest has a lot of them. And so I think it is a lot of fun just to look on the internet in my free time and print off new ways to pray. And so after you've collected these, let me mention too, you can find other ways to find things to pray about. For instance, I have made this one all by myself, prayers for my health and fitness. It was hard for me to find, specific ways that you can pray for yourself if you're trying to improve your health. And I had a hard time. And so I just thought, well, I'm going to just make up my own. So I typed out a list of these different things that I would like to pray about. And so that's what this paper is. And then after you have collected them and put them in your folders, in your pockets, then you are going to take one handout from each pocket and fill it and insert it in the sheet protector. So for instance, this is the page that I am going to use whenever I praise God. And so I pulled out one of my sheets from my praise section, and I put that in here. And then I want to pray for myself. So I went to my pocket that says myself or me, and I chose one of these handouts that I put in here. So I do that for all of my categories. And then after you've done that, your prayer journal is complete. Like, you're done. It's all made. And then you're ready to start praying. And so, and one of the reasons why I said that you might want a marker, that was in case you wanted to label your folders and your pockets and your sheet protectors. I don't like my handwriting, and so I always think it's prettier to just type them up. So I type as much as I can instead of writing. So that's why mine are all typed. But that's why I said you might want a marker for your labeling. Okay, so when you're ready to start praying, so I try to pray every day from this binder. Now, it does not happen every day, but I try to. And the awesome thing about this binder is that if you really do use this often, it really makes a huge difference in your prayer life, because when you are done, you can feel really good knowing that you have prayed for so many different categories in just a few minutes. And so it's really neat to have that feeling. And that's why, one of the reasons why I love this so much. It helps me organize my thoughts, and it helps me pray about everything on my heart that I want to pray about. And it only takes a few minutes a day. It really does. And so this is how I use my prayer folder not every day, but when I use it, I just open it up. And then let's say this was the very first day I was using my prayer journal. Then on day one, the first day, I would pick one of these topics, one of these items to pray about. Of course, you could pick any one that you wanted to. I am just very orderly and organized about how I do things, so I like to go in order. So on this first day, day one, I would praise God for His holiness. And so I might just say, even just a sentence or two, like, Dear God, thank you so much for your holiness. Thank you for being holy. Thank you for loving us, even though we are so sinful and imperfect. Um, and then after I say that prayer, and that might be all that I say for that item, then I would just mark that off. And then I would turn the sheet. And this is still on day one, on the first day. Then I would pick an item, like say number 1 for this list, for praying for myself. Here I would go by this, and it says wisdom. So then I might say, dear Lord, please give me wisdom and help me be wise and help me to be more understanding. Teach me the things that you want me to know so I will be wiser. And then I would go on here. I would keep praying, and I would go on here, and for this health and fitness one, I might say something like, please help me have the desire to take better care of myself. Help me to want to be healthier. Help me to want to be stronger and to have more energy. And that might be all that I say. Then I go on to the next list. This is the list about my marriage, praying for my marriage. And so, like for instance, adoration. I would say something like, help my husband and I, help Matt and I to adore each other and to remember how much we love each other and to not lose our feelings for each other. Then the next list, this is about praying for your husband. Pray for someone to encourage him today. So I would pray just that he would be encouraged by someone today. And I might expand on that, and say, please help him be an encouragement to somebody today too. And then this is a sheet about praying for your children. And I'm going to forget if I don't do this now. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because I want to give credit to some of these printouts that I am showing you. Okay. There is a website called dailydwelling.com, and it has lots of these printables. And so I have many of her printables off of here. In my book. And so this is one that I'm using. So all of my sheets in here that have the pretty watercolor look on here, those are from dailydwelling.com. Okay. And that one is one that I made up. But this verse is from dailydwelling.com. Okay. This about 40 powerful wedding marriage blessings to pray over your spouse. This is from crosswalk.com. Okay. This one, 30 ways to pray for your husband. This is wellnessbecomesher.com. Okay. And then I was talking about this page for praying for my kids. This is about their salvation. So it has a few words here on what you might want to pray when you pray about your children's salvation. And you can even just read it word for word, and that can be your prayer. You don't have to spend a long time praying about these things. And so then I would mark that off, right? And this is from, like I said, inspiredtoaction.com, and that's where I got this printout. There's the woman who does the inspiredtoaction.com podcast. I don't know if she's doing any podcasts currently, but there are lots of good podcasts from her. Her name is Kat Lee, Katlee. And then when I pray for my family, these are my family members. I just write different family members down on my list, and then every day I'll pray for one number on my list, and then I will mark it off. Same thing with all of these, okay? This one is about reaching beyond and praying for, maybe your community, your city, your state, your country, the world, And so each day, each day that I do this, I pray for one of these. And so then I might pray for God to, be with the president, give him wisdom and understanding, and help him to have good influences and integrity, and to make wise choices, and to be brave and, wise. Um, so that is the bulk of my prayer binder. That's all that it is. Now, this last page, this is for my congregation, for my church. And so I made up another itemized list for this. This printout that says church and this verse, this again is from dailydwelling.com. I just added my personal list on here for that would suit our congregation specifically, like just things that pertain to our church specifically. So each day that I do this, I pray for one of these things, and then I'll mark it off. And then I leave this empty. This space would be for our church bulletin or our church newsletter. I open that up and I put that in here, and we list people in our congregation who have special prayer needs, special prayer requests. And so I will put the bulletin in here with those people with their names facing up, so I can read off some of them. And then, I mark them off with my marker. So, that is how I do my prayer journal. And oh yeah, I was also going to show you this. So like that would be how I do that. So as you can see, it's awesome because it just takes a few minutes, but yet I feel really good because I've organized my thoughts and I've said different prayers, for myself, for my husband, for my marriage and my children, my family, my country, my church. And so it has really worked well for me. So then the next day, I would go back, I would do the very same thing. I have learned that I shouldn't leave the previous mark on there and just keep going every day because, over time, like after, 2 weeks or so, these marks start to get harder and harder to clean off. But I've learned that you can just use a mark to mark your place, and then the next day, like day 2, I would open this up, then I would erase my previous mark and then put a new mark down for my current day. That way they don't stay on here. They're real easy to wipe off. They do smear, but not too bad. But I have found that I really do prefer this way. When I use just the dry erase marker, then I can just quickly erase my spot from the day before and just make a new mark. So that's how I do this. Each day I'll just pray for one item. And then when I get to the very end, like for instance, day 20, I pray for this last item on this page, right? Day 21, when I would come back, I would erase this, and then I would go back here to the section, that I was finished with, the praising God. I would go here to my section, to my pocket, over here, praise, and then I would just pull out one of my handouts and put in a new handout. So I can switch it up so I feel like I'm praying for, different things every day. Of course, you don't have to do it that way. You can just start over if you want to and pray all these things over again. So this is very flexible. Of course, you can make it however you want to. This is how I make my prayer journal for those of you that asked and wanted to know. And of course, I do put other things in these pockets, which of course you can do too. And you can just tailor this to suit your needs and use it so that it best suits you and helps your prayer life. So I wanted to share that. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or share pictures of your prayer notebooks. That would be awesome. And if you want to share ways of how you have found handouts, to use in here to keep, then please let me know, because I always love collecting more and more to fill my folders. So I hope this helps you enrich your prayer time, and I wish you all the best. Thanks for watching. Bye.